My whole family stopped speaking to me because I fell in love with a woman almost 20 years older. They gave me a choice, so I chose her.
This is Michael Tells, and this is Recorded for Me. This voice note came in tonight, and I couldn't wait. I don't even know how it ends yet. All I know is it's about a man who fell for a woman almost 20 years older and what it cost him. So I'm not going to make you wait either. Let's just press play and hear it together.
Hi, Michael. Okay. I've been meaning to send you something for a long time, and I kept talking myself out of it. But I listen to your channel almost every night, usually in the truck on the way home from a late shift, and I keep thinking, maybe somebody out there needs to hear this one. So, here goes. My name's Ray. I'm going to try to tell it all from the start, and I might ramble. I know I ramble. Diane says I could turn past the salt into a 20-minute speech, so bear with me. The short version, the version people hear and immediately have an opinion about, is this. My whole family stopped speaking to me when I fell in love with a woman almost 20 years older than me. And I chose her anyway. That's the version that makes people raise an eyebrow, but it's not the real story. The real story's a lot quieter than that. Let me actually tell it. I should tell you where I come from first, so the rest makes sense. I grew up outside a town you've never heard of. My dad, Gary, worked at the same parts plant for 31 years. My mom, Carol, kept the house and kept all of us in line. And I mean that with love. She's a force, my mother. And I've got an older brother, Kevin, who did everything the right way, in the right order. College, then a wife, then a house, then kids. Checked every box on time. And then there was me. The one who didn't check boxes. I was 22, I had an apartment with a mattress on the floor, a job I didn't love at a hardware store, and I thought I was basically a grown man because I paid my own phone bill. That was the kind of grown I was. We were close though, my family. That's the thing I need you to understand before I get to the hard part. Sunday dinners, every single week, no exceptions. My mom's pot roast, Kevin and his wife, their kids running all over the house. I wasn't the black sheep or anything. I belonged there. Which is exactly what made losing it hurt the way it did. Okay, Diane. She was 39 when we met, and before anybody does the math and makes a face, yeah, I know, 17 years. I have watched 100 people do that math before they ever asked one real thing about her. Here's how we met, and it is not romantic, I'm warning you right now. She walked into the hardware store on a Tuesday. That's it. Looking for a specific kind of hinge because a cabinet door in her kitchen had hung crooked for 2 years, and she'd finally decided to fix it herself. 2 years. She'd looked at that crooked door every single day for 2 years, and then one Tuesday just decided, enough. I didn't know it yet, but that was the whole woman right there in one little fact. That's Diane. Patient to a fault, and then all at once, done waiting. I helped her find the hinge. Normally, that's a 30-second thing. But she asked me a real question. Not, where is this? But, which of these is actually going to last? And I don't know what it was. Being asked a real question by somebody who genuinely wanted the answer. I walked her up and down that aisle for 20 minutes over a $2 hinge. My manager, Marcus, he's giving me this look the whole time. And she laughed at something I said. A real laugh, not a polite one. And I walked home that night just thinking about it. That laugh. I didn't even file it as a crush. I was 22. She was a whole grown woman with a whole life. It wasn't a thought I was even allowed to have. I just kept hearing the laugh. She came back that Friday, said the hinge worked great, said she had another project. I found out much later there was no other project. She made one up. Now, I want to slow way down here because this is the exact part everybody gets wrong. They hear older woman, younger guy, and they picture something. And it was not that. It was slow. So slow it was almost painful. We were friends first, honestly, for months. She'd come by the store, or I'd help her carry something out to her car, and we'd end up just talking in the parking lot till it got dark. She had this way of listening I'd never gotten from anybody. See, in my family, when you talk, everybody's kind of waiting for their turn. You know how that is. Diane just listened. Like the thing I was saying actually mattered, and I had never felt that. Not really. Not once. And I need to say this clearly, Michael, because people love to say it. Oh, he just wanted a mother figure. No. My mother was alive and well and calling me twice a week. That was not what it was. It was that Diane looked at me like a man at a time when I still mostly felt like a kid. And being seen like that, it changes how you stand up. It changes your whole spine. It was months before either of us said a word about it. I think we both knew, and we were both scared of it, for completely different reasons. Me, because who was I? 22, nothing to my name. And her, because she'd already decided, long before I ever came along, that she was past all that. She'd been widowed young, see. Her husband, Paul, he died when she was 34. Heart thing. Out of nowhere, no warning. 5 years she'd been on her own by the time I walked into it, and she'd made her peace with alone. She'd built a life the exact right size for one person. Everything in that house had its place. And here comes this 22-year-old kid, knocking it all off the shelves. She fought it harder than anybody ever did. Before my family said one single word, Diane was the first one sitting me down and listing all the reasons not to. I remember the night we finally stopped pretending. We were on her porch, and she said it plain, the way she says everything. She said, "Ray, you're going to want things. A young life, kids, a whole long life ahead of you. And I'm going to be an old woman while you're still young, and one day you are going to look at me and resent me for it." Just laid it out flat, like a grocery list. And I was 22, so I didn't have anything smart to say back. I just said, "Maybe, but I'd rather have 10 good years with you than 50 fine ones with somebody I'm just settling for." She told me later that was the most grown-up and the most idiotic thing she'd ever heard a person say, both at the same time. She still brings it up. Okay, so, my family. This is the hard part. And I want to say it clearly. They are good people. It's easy to make them the villains in this, and they are not villains. They're ordinary, careful people, and I scared them. That's the truth of it. I scared them half to death. I brought Diane to a Sunday dinner, about a year in, and it did not go well. Now, my family doesn't scream. That's not our way. We do something worse. We get polite. Real quiet, real polite. My mom, Carol, she smiled the entire evening and asked Diane these questions that weren't really questions. They were little tests. "And what is it you do, Diane? And you were married before? And how old is your—" Every one of them a small knife wrapped up in a napkin. And Diane, God, she answered every single one with grace. And I could see exactly what it was costing her. Kevin barely looked up from his plate. My dad, Gary, he didn't say 2 words the whole night. And from my father, that silence was louder than any yelling ever could be. We got in the car after, and she didn't speak for a long time. And then, you know what she said? She said, "They love you, Ray. This is just what it looks like when people are scared of losing you." She defended them, in the car, after what they'd just put her through. That's who she is. That's the woman they couldn't be bothered to actually look at. But it got worse after that. My mom started calling me, always when Diane wasn't around, with the speeches. "You're throwing your life away, Ray. She is going to hold you back. What about children? What about grandchildren? People are talking, you know. People at church are talking." My brother Kevin told me flat out I was going through a phase, and that he'd just wait it out. A phase. I was 23 by then, with the best thing that ever walked into my life, and my own brother called it a phase. And I'll be fair, Michael, because I've had 12 years to be fair about it. From the outside, I was a kid. She was closing in on 40. Any parent might panic a little. I understand it a lot better now than I did then. But understanding why they did it and forgiving how they did it, those are two very different things. And it's the how I still can't quite shake. There was one dinner, the last one it turned out, though I didn't know that walking in. My mother said something. I'm not even going to repeat it exactly because it doesn't deserve to be said twice. But she said something about Diane, about what a woman that age must really want with a boy like me. And it was cruel. It was the single cruelest thing I have ever heard my mother say. And Diane wasn't even at the table to defend herself. This was one of the ones I'd gone to alone, trying to keep the peace. And I remember standing up, and the whole room went quiet, and I heard myself say, "If she's not welcome in this house, then I'm not either." And then I waited. I gave them a second. A long one. Because more than anything in the world, I wanted somebody, my dad, Kevin, anybody, to say, "Sit down, Ray. Let's just talk about this." Nobody did. Nobody said one word. So I got my coat and I left. And that was basically it. For years, my own family, over a woman who had never done one single thing to any of them except love their son. I'm not going to pretend that didn't break something in me. It did. There were nights I'd go into the bathroom and run the water so Diane couldn't hear me, because I did not want her carrying the weight of it. Because I already knew she blamed herself. She'd say it right out. "Go back to them, Ray. I'll step aside. You're going to lose your whole family because of me, and you'll wake up one day and hate me for it." She kept handing me the exit, over and over. She kept holding that door open for me to walk out on her and go home to them. And every single time, I closed it. I stayed. You want to know the exact moment I knew for sure? It wasn't romantic at all. I got the flu. A bad one. That sweating, can't lift your head, feel like you're dying kind. I was 24, living with her by then, and I woke up at 3 a.m, and she was just there, sitting in a chair pulled up right next to the bed, wide awake, wringing out a cold cloth from my forehead. 3 a.m, and she had to be up for work in 4 hours, and she was just there. And you know what I thought about, lying there? I thought about who used to sit up with me when I was a sick little kid. My mom. And here was this woman, the one the entire world had sworn to me was a mistake, doing the exact thing that love does. Just being there. Quiet. At 3 a.m. Not because anybody would ever see it and give her credit. Just because I was hers. That's when the last of the doubt went out of me, and it never came back. Not once in 12 years. We got married when I was 26. Small, a courthouse and a dinner after at Marcus's place with a handful of friends who'd stuck around. Marcus and his wife Jenna, they honestly became our family in those years. None of my actual family came. I'd sent the invitation anyway. To my mom, my dad, Kevin. Told myself I didn't expect anything. I did, though. I checked the door the whole night. Every time it opened, I looked. They never came. That's the hardest part to tell, honestly. It's not the fights. It's the absence. It's the empty chairs where the people who raised you are supposed to be sitting on the best day of your life. Now, I don't want to leave you sitting in the sad part, because that is not where this story actually lives. It's been 12 years, Michael. 12 years with Diane, and every single scary thing my mother swore would happen, I keep bracing for it, and it just never comes. I never woke up at 30 and resented her. I keep waiting to feel young and trapped, and instead I just feel home. Every year the world's warning gets a little quieter in the back of my head, because every year I'm just plainly, stupidly happy. We didn't have kids. And that was real. It was a lot of long talks and some hard tears, and we decided together that it wasn't our road. And you know what? That decision was ours. Made by the two of us, not by my mother, not by the people at church, not by anybody who was so sure they already knew what a full life is supposed to look like. And I've made a peace with it that I could never explain to somebody who's already certain they've got the answer. It's just the two of us now. Small house. She still fixes crooked things the second they start to annoy her. I've learned to just hand her the screwdriver. I still ramble. We have our coffee out on the porch in the mornings. It is not a dramatic life. It's a good one. It's the good one. And here's the thing I think about the most. The thing I'd want anybody listening tonight to really hear. Everybody was so sure they were protecting me. My family genuinely believed they were saving me from the worst mistake of my life. And they lost 12 years. They're still losing them, protecting me from the best thing that ever happened to me. And that's the real tragedy of it. Not that they disapproved. It's that they were so certain, so fast, that they never once looked close enough to see that it was real. My mom and I, we talk a little now. It took years to get even that far. She sat with Diane a whole afternoon a while back, and afterward she was quiet, and she said just one thing to me. She said, "She's not what I thought she'd be." And that's the closest to "I'm sorry" I have ever gotten. And you know what? I'll take it. I decided a long time ago I wasn't going to burn any more years waiting on a perfect apology that might never come. But I don't regret it. Not the leaving. Not the empty chairs at the wedding. Not one single hard year of it. Because I chose her. When every person I'd known my entire life stood there and told me not to, I looked at the two roads in front of me, and I chose her. And she is still, all these years later, the best thing I ever did. So, that's my story. I don't really know why I needed to say it out loud to a stranger on the internet. Maybe just to hear it land somewhere that isn't inside my own head. And if you're out there listening, and you love somebody the world's got a whole lot of opinions about, the age or whatever it is for you, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy. It cost me my family for a long time. I won't lie to you about that. But nobody else has to live inside your life. You are the only one who has to wake up in it every single morning. So make sure, whatever it costs you, make sure it's actually yours. Thanks for listening, Michael. Thanks for letting me talk this long.
So that was Ray. And there's one thing in his story I can't quite put down. His family thought they were protecting him, saving him from a mistake. And they spent 12 years. They're still spending them, protecting him from the best thing that ever happened to him. And I keep thinking how often we do that. Not just with age, with anything. Somebody we love makes a choice we didn't expect. And we get so scared, so sure, so fast, that we forget to actually look. To see if maybe they found something real, something we just can't see from the outside. He waited at that door on his wedding day, and nobody came. That part's going to stay with me a while. But he wasn't bitter. After all of it, he just said, "I chose her." Like it was the easiest thing in the world. Because to him, it was. So if there's somebody you love, and the whole world's got opinions about it, you're the one who has to live inside your life, not them. Make sure it's yours. This has been Michael Tells. Take care of each other. I'll see you next time.